You skipped school yesterday. Yeah, I know. I have the perfect punishment for you. So this kid skipped school one day, and he wasn't even subtle about it. He didn't fake sick, he didn't have a note, he just didn't show up. And he was posting Snapchats during the school day of him at like McDonald's, riding his bike in the park, playing video games, and that got to the principals. The principal was like, yo, this dude is dead. Next morning, he walks in and he gets called to the office. The principal's waiting. You skipped school yesterday. Yeah, you know what that means. Makeup work? No, suspension. So, I didn't come to school yesterday. Correct. And now you're punishing me by telling me not to come to school. Exactly. You're suspended. We'll see you next week. He walks out confused. Like, is that even a punishment? He got suspended for 2 days. So Thursday and Friday were off. Then he had the weekend. It was a nice long weekend for him. The best part, his parents were working late all week. So he literally just stayed home, ate cereal, and played Xbox. Now, I'm not advocating going to get suspended to stay home and do stuff. I'm just saying, for this offense, for skipping school, getting suspended feels like a really weird punishment. An in-school suspension probably be better, but I don't know. It was just crazy to me. What do you guys think? You are not allowed in the nurse's office anymore. He thought she was joking. She wasn't. This kid got banned from medical care. So in 6th grade, there was this kid, let's call him Owen. Always had some weird stomach thing, or headache, or sore throat. Honestly, yeah, he faked it a lot. He'd go to the nurse's office like it was his part-time job. But one day the nurse goes, Owen, we've seen you 9 times this month. From now on, no more nurse visits unless it's an emergency. He's like, okay, what? Well, 2 weeks later, gym class. They're playing dodgeball and Owen face plants into the floor. He's seeing stars, he's holding his head. Oh man, he's in a lot of pain. Coach goes, I'm gonna take him to the nurse. He walks into the nurse's office and the nurse literally said this, Coach, he's playing you. I promise you, he's playing you like a fiddle. He doesn't need the nurse right now. He's completely fine, okay? I don't want to hear it. I have a phone call in 5 minutes. Okay. So for sure, the nurse was being 1000% out of line there. Super dangerous. Anyway, Coach takes Owen back to the gym. How you feeling, buddy? You okay? Now Owen's slurring his words like, I'm fine. I think I just need a nap. Eventually, the coach freaks out. He doesn't even want to deal with the nurse anymore. You guys just sit in the bleachers for the rest of class, okay? I'm taking him to the hospital. He leaves the rest of the class there in the gym and he drives this kid to the hospital himself. Turns out, Owen actually had a mild concussion and the coach doesn't take this lightly. He brings it up to the school board. The school board is now in panic mode. The nurse is being investigated. Owen is no longer banned from the nurse's office. This could have very well been a lawsuit. Owen fully recovered. But you know him, once he realized the nurse ban was off, he was still in there multiple times a week just to skip class. What are you gonna do? Attendance office. Yeah, I'm calling about the high school for sale. Excuse me? So this kid lists the entire high school on Craigslist. Yep, puts it up there just like a house. Multiple acres, Olympic-sized track, full gym, swimming pool, great natural light. And for the contact number, he puts down the attendance office. On purpose, because everyone hated the receptionist. So for the next 3 days, she's just picking up like, attendance office. Yeah, I saw the listing for the property. Is it still available? What listing? The high school for sale with a pool? Call after call, people asking for showings. One guy said, yeah, I'm thinking about turning the gym into my own personal dojo. And hey, maybe you could even stop by once it's ready. What do you say, huh? You, me, champagne? Huh? Oh my God. It got so bad the school had to change the number of the attendance office permanently because these calls kept coming in. And the kid, he never confessed. To that school, he remained anonymous. And there were some copycat Craigslist ads after that, so the calls never really stopped for a while. It eventually fizzled out, but every time that phone rang, the receptionist's heart would sink. That's actually hilarious. Why is the principal sprinting down the hall? He's here! Because the mayor's here. So the mayor was coming to visit this school. Everybody's acting that the Queen of England's gonna show up. And the week before, there was an actual assembly. The principal gets on the stage and he goes, please do not pull the fire alarm during the mayor's visit unless there's an actual fire, okay? Everyone just kind of looks around and is like, why would he say that? Was somebody planning to? Thing is, there hasn't been a single fire drill in months, let alone somebody actually pulling it. No one had even thought about it. Of course, until now. Day of the visit, school is spotless. The staff is in full PR mode and the mayor's shaking hands. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm the mayor. Thanks for having me, I'm the mayor. And then it goes off. The mayor's mid-photo like, oh, what? Teachers are sprinting, the principal's yelling, no, 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 no. And the best part's nobody's panicking. The students aren't panicking at all. They calmly line up and walk out. They're like, of course this would happen today, of course. Eventually they found the kid who did this. All he says is, they made such a big deal about it, I had to do it. I just had to do it. And that's how the mayor's visit became a school-wide evacuation. Yo, there's pizza in the hallway, guys. Best day ever. At this one school, there was this one kid that we'll call Logan, who didn't say much all year. He was pretty quiet. Good grades, chill energy, he never got into trouble. But on the last day of school, something inside him switched. He walks in, he nods to the front office lady, and he says, last day of school, I got big plans for it. Now, nobody thought anything of it until about 10 minutes later. An intercom announcement comes on, but it's not from the principal. It's Logan's voice. Good morning, students and staff. May I have your attention, please? And everyone's listening very intently because he sounds pretty official. Then he says this. Due to a clerical error, several classrooms have been issued complimentary pizza. During your third period class, please check the hallways. People laugh, they think it's a prank. But then third period rolls around and one kid decided to check the hallway about halfway through. And there's a pizza box. And another. And another. Every hallway there were full pizza boxes, still hot. Teachers are opening doors like, what is going on? Oh. That is so much pizza. But as you can imagine, kids are now losing their minds. Someone grabbed 2 boxes and ran to the bathroom. Where I assumed he sat there and ate them. These kids said it was a complete blast. Yes, it was chaotic and people were getting in trouble, but memories, right? Well, this is what happened. Turns out Logan saved up all year. Lunch money, birthday cash, he put it all into this. He ordered 50 pizzas to all arrive at the same time to the school. He had convinced the school secretary to help him with this because he's told her, come on miss, the last day should feel like the last day. Okay. She let him use the intercom, she helped him bring the pizzas in. At the end of the day, the students were trying to find Logan to thank him. But he had skipped out early. He was already home, chilling in his room, playing Xbox. An absolute legend. He did all of this just to make people's last day of school feel memorable. Respect. It's frozen. Run! So this one school had a tradition. In 8th grade, during the last week of school, there was a day called Water Balloon Day. It was unofficial, unsanctioned. Everyone knew it happens right after lunch in the courtyard. What started as a couple kids tossing water balloons around turned into a full-blown event. And every year it got a little bigger. But this one class took it way too far. They planned for weeks, mapped out the courtyard, found the nooks and the crannies. They assigned roles, runners, refillers, and spotters. Kids were wearing goggles and rain ponchos like they were going to war. And the wild part was these weren't just simple water balloons. People were freezing them the night before. Others were filling water balloons with Kool-Aid to give them themed and color ammo. By the time lunch ended, it was full-blown chaos. Teachers tried to shut it down, but they were getting hit too. Hey, stop! That's when the principal stormed out with the megaphone. Everyone drop the balloons now! Students were drenched. They were running to avoid getting in trouble. The next day, an announcement was made. Attention students, all balloon activity from here on out is permanently banned. Any students participating in any future water balloon fights or things of the such will be expelled. But for that 8th grade class, especially those who avoided getting in trouble, they said it was a day that they'll never forget. And it is a legend around that school. That's epic. I bet I can do more push-ups than any student in this assembly. Oh yeah? So this one principal was mad cocky, always walking around like he was the final boss of the school or something. Well, one time during an assembly, he was giving a full speech about discipline and mental toughness or whatever. And in the middle of it, he goes, I bet I can do more push-ups than any student in this assembly. Everybody laughed. They thought he was joking. But then this one kid stands up and says, all right, bet. The whole gym goes quiet. The kid starts walking to the front like it's about to be a championship match. And the principal, he doesn't back down. They clear a space in the middle of the gym floor. The principal takes off his jacket and rolls up his sleeves. The kid just drops into position. No warm-up, just locked in. Someone starts counting down. 3, 2, 1, go! And boom, they start. Everyone's cheering, cameras are out. They hit 20, 30, 35 push-ups. The principal's arms start shaking, his face is red, he's sweating. And the kid, well, he's staring him down mid-push-up, like he wants this man to quit. 40, 45, 50 push-ups, and boom. Principal falls face first into the gym floor, just collapses, he's done. The gym goes dead silent once again. And the kid, well, he stands up. He raises one fist in the air. People are screaming and jumping, and this kid is feeling good. They entered the assembly early that day, but for the rest of the year, that kid walked around the hallways like a legend. You're a legend, bro. There he is. Push-up guy. Hi, Steven. What did the principal think was gonna happen? That's crazy. Miss, how are we supposed to know when it's due? You just are, okay? This one teacher was brutal. She wouldn't post due dates for anything. She wouldn't write instructions. She would just say it once out loud and expect you to remember everything. And if you didn't hear it or you missed the information, that sounds like a you problem, doesn't it? One day she assigns a huge project. She explains it once, she talks fast, there's no visual, no handout. This one kid, he raises his hand. Wait, how are we supposed to, Josh, were you listening? Yeah, but then why are you asking? No one knows when it's due, what it's supposed to look like, it's total confusion. One person thinks he remembers the due date, one person remembers it differently, it's a mess. And from that moment on, Josh decides he's going to record everything this teacher says every single day, without her knowing. 2 weeks later, half the class gets zeros on this other project. There's no excuse for this, you guys, I told you exactly how I wanted it. Josh raises his hand. Actually, you didn't. Excuse me? He takes out his phone, fiddles with his recordings for a second, and then he presses play. It was her whole explanation for this project. It was loud, it didn't make any sense, and she was mumbling for half of it. So basically, it's gonna go on a big piece of paper or, like one of those things, and then you're gonna make sure that you get everything down from that the chapter, I think it was 9. Maybe it's 11. We'll put it all on. Hey, guys, quiet. All right, that's it. Let's move on. So are we all really getting zeros, or are you gonna give us the instructions again? The next day, she handed out a printed rubric for that project, and she gave everyone a second chance to do it. And from that day forward, she always had printed out instructions for every single assignment and project. Yeah, as she should. As your president, I will eat this banana. So this kid, let's call him Luke. He's in 8th grade, 0 political ambition, and 0 cares about school elections. One day after gym, his friend is like, bro, you should run for class president. Why? I don't know, because nobody else is. Turns out, signups were closing that day, and nobody else decided to run. So Luke being Luke, he goes to the front office and he puts his name down. The next day, the announcements come on. Class elections this Friday, we have Luke, just Luke is running for president. And everyone just starts clowning this whole situation. People are making campaign posters. Vote for Luke. Or don't. It doesn't matter. He'll still win. Or Luke 2024. Bare minimum effort. And he's leaning into it. He's wearing a wrinkled suit jacket to school. Making campaign videos of him eating Lunchables in silence. Well, finally election day hits. And obviously Luke is elected to be the class president. And there's a little assembly at the end of the day. Well, Luke walks up to give a victory speech. He walks up to the mic. He's holding a banana like it's a trophy, peels it halfway, and he just starts eating it into the mic. The whole cafeteria is losing it. Even the teachers are laughing. The principal's standing there, just trying to act like this is normal. Okay. And just like that, Luke is the official class president. He doesn't even know what his frickin' duties are. Well, the next week, the school council handed him a binder that said, School Student Government Responsibilities. And it was thick, like 3 inches thick. Meetings, proposals, school fundraiser events. Luke just looked at it, and that's when it hit him. He definitely made a massive mistake. This is everything. Hey, yo, what's your name? Why? Just answer the question, man. So at this one high school, there's this senior named Jordan. And he's not just popular, he's influential. Like, if he were to wear pajama pants to school one day, the next day, half the school would also be wearing pajama pants. If he calls you something in the hallway, people would hear it, and that's your name now. And he knows that. Hey, your name? Emily? Cool, that'll be $5. What? You can pay me $5, or I pick something else. You'll pick a different name for me, like what? You don't want to find out. At first, people think he's joking, until one poor kid refuses to pay, and is known as Meat Wallet for the rest of the semester. Even the sub called him that one day. After that, everyone started paying. Yo, did you get a name yet? Yeah, I paid him yesterday. I'm Connor now. But your name is Connor. Exactly. Thank God I paid him. By homecoming, he made over $200. One kid's name is still Pockets, and no one knows why. This was a pretty small town school, so that's probably why something like this was flying around. But in the end, he wasn't just selling names. He was selling protection from pure humiliation. Weird hustle, but I respect it. B-? That's just a B in a tuxedo. Oh, what? So this kid turns in an essay. He gets it back a few days later. A-. Solid, clean grade. He's feeling good until he gets in the car and shows his mom. Why is it not an A+? I don't know, it's still an A. An A- is just a fancy B. You're rewriting it. So that night, he rewrites the entire thing. Adds more quotes, changes the intro, tightens everything up. Next day, he turns it in again. The teacher's confused, but she said she'll take a look at it. 2 days later, the same result. Still an A-. He shows his mom. You are doing it again. You're joking, right? Not until you get 100. Fix your tone, fix your grammar, and fix your mindset. He rewrites it again, turns it in. This is the third version. And the teacher pulls him aside. Hey, why do you keep resubmitting this? Your paper was excellent. I know, I'm just trying to survive, ma'am. She gives him the exact same grade, A- again. He turns it into his mom. She just sighs and says, I give up. You must have done something wrong. And that's the day he learned. Sometimes it's not about the grade. It's about your mom's permanent disappointment. Poor kid. I'm not gonna say it again. One more sound out of you, Jason, and you're out of here. So one day in class, 2 kids are in the back of the classroom and they're whispering to each other. I told my cat that she's so funny when she does that. Dude, I have so much milk left over from last night. Suddenly, the teacher slams her hand on the desk and says, Jason, that's enough. The whole class freezes. But here's the thing, Jason wasn't even talking. He's sitting there mid-pencil stroke like, huh? I'm not gonna say it again. One more sound out of you, Jason, and you're out of here. Now, a bunch of people saw who was actually whispering, but nobody said a word. Well, Jason takes the L in silence. The next day, there are some class presentations. Well, Jason walks up, he connects his slideshow, and slide 1 appears on the projector. The danger of classroom injustice. Oh boy, here we go. Then Jason starts reading from a flashcard. Let the record show, yesterday I was falsely accused of whispering. I was not whispering. I was taking notes. I was the victim. Slide 2, confirmed witnesses. He lists 3 classmates, first and last names, alphabetical order. Next slide, actual culprits. The final slide. And all I ask is for truth to matter again. Boom, presentation done. He gets a standing ovation. Even the teacher's smiling and laughing, and he gets a B+ on that assignment. The teacher then apologizes for accusing him of something he did not do. Respect. Wait, forks cost money now? Yeah, and Isaiah's making a fortune off of it. So here's what happened. At this one school, there was a pretty small school. In their lunchroom, they used real forks. Well, these forks started to go missing. Like every day, kids are accidentally tossing them out, leaving them on the ground, or straight up taking them home. Finally, the lunch lady snaps. That's it, new rule. Forks cost 50 cents. If you want one, you pay, and you better return it. Basically, it's a rental fee for your fork. Well, this kid named Isaiah, he sees an opportunity. The next day, he pulls up to lunch with a backpack full of Costco plastic forks. 1 fork, 25 cents. 2 for 40 cents. Tell your friends. It spreads fast. He's got bundles, different colors, custom sizes, some with graphics on them that he calls limited edition. Yo, let me get 2 SpongeBob forks for my ravioli. Say less. The cafeteria staff notices this, and the principal steps in. Are you running an unauthorized utensil ring in my cafeteria? Well, sir, I'm just providing students with a better utensil option. Making pretty good money, too. He gets written up, they confiscate his inventory, and by Friday, the cafeteria stops charging for forks. But that never actually fixed the problem, because kids were still taking these forks home or accidentally throwing them away. Hey, what can you do? What can you do? So you're all just gonna roast me? It's called growth, sweetie. This one mom had a rule for birthdays. No cake, no presents, not until after the truth session. Every year, the birthday kid had to sit in the middle of the living room, while each family member, siblings, parents, sometimes even grandma, went around and shared one thing they did not like about the birthday kid. You interrupt too much. You always finish the milk and leave the carton in the fridge. I hate you, grandson. It was a roast, but it wasn't funny. One year, this kid Daniel, he turned 11. He walked into the living room already nervous. All right, let's begin. First up was his little sister. You yelled at me when I was on your Minecraft world. Then his mom. You've gotten lazy with your posture this year. Then Dad. You've been selfish lately, son. Just think about that. Daniel's eyes start to water. Oh no, don't cry. This is to help you, not to hurt you. You may have your cake now. Go. And he barely touched the cake. The next year, Daniel pretended to be sick on his birthday to try to get out of this whole thing. But the mom just moved the truth session to his room, and they did it bedside. They said it was character building. He said it was the worst tradition of his life. Participation is 40% of your grade. This teacher had one rule. If you didn't speak out loud during class, in every class, you would lose points. Didn't matter if you turned in everything. Didn't matter if you tried. If you didn't raise your hand and talk, she would dock you. And one kid, let's call him Aaron, he was trying. He had anxiety. He hated talking in class, but he tried. Miss, I know I don't talk much, but I listen and I do the work and I work hard. Well, that's not how life works, Aaron. If you want a grade, you gotta speak up. Aaron didn't like this, so he started tracking everything. Every time he raised his hand, he wrote it down. Every time he raised his hand and got skipped, he wrote that down. Every time the same 3 loud kids dominate every conversation, he wrote that down as well. Everything was getting documented by Aaron. Well, grades are updated, and his is a C. The reason? Non-participation. The next day, he stays after class. Hey, I saw my grade. You need to speak more, Aaron, I told you. Well, you need to stop ignoring me, or fix your rule, because look at this. He drops a folder on her desk. Pages, timestamps, dates, secret selfies of him actually raising his hand. You say it's about participation, but I've been trying. I've been participating. This system doesn't make any sense. There are days where you just don't call on me. You can go. And he leaves. You thought that he got nowhere with that. But the next week, his grade was silently changed to an A. I think he actually got to that teacher. Because honestly, when I was in school, I hated that type of rule as well. People learn differently, and people participate differently. You gotta respect all of it. You're gonna regret this. Get out of my class. So this kid sprains his leg during soccer practice. Doctor gives him crutches, a note, clear instructions. But his teacher, she never liked him. She thinks he's dramatic, thinks he's lazy. He walks into class on crutches, and she just stares at him. You don't need those. Stop milking it. He tries to explain, but she just cuts him off. If you want attention, do it on your own time. Give me those. She takes his crutches and locks them into a cabinet. He stares at her, calm, and just says, "You're gonna regret this." And for the rest of the day, he walks all day on his hurt leg. He doesn't ask for help. He's not complaining. He's limping. He winces, but he keeps moving. Well, that night, his leg is on fire. The next morning, he's back at the doctor. It's worse now. He has a hairline fracture because he was walking on it so much because the teacher took his crutches. Oh, it's about to get bad for this teacher. The next morning, he walks into class again with crutches, a medical boot now, and another doctor's note. He doesn't sit. He doesn't yell. Just stands in front of the whole class and says, "So I watched the rest of the day like you told me to?" Well, turns out that re-fractured my injury. I'll be on crutches another 6 weeks now, so thank you for that. The whole class is silent. She tries to speak, but the door opens and the principal walks in. "Hi, Miss Harding. I need to speak with you. Please bring your things." She freezes. Then she grabs her stuff and heads towards the hallway. And she walks out. She doesn't come back the next day. Or the day after that. She was fired. Karma's up. What's going on back there? Call a priest! This happened in elementary school. There were 2 sisters that lived at the top of a very steep hill. And I mean super steep, winding hill. Them at the top. And every morning, the school bus had to climb all the way to the top just to get them. But one morning, one of the sisters gets on looking pale. She sits in the back, she's quiet, the vibes are not good. Well, halfway down the steep hill, she throws up. Hard, loud, full-forced. Right into the aisle. Her sister sees it and immediately throws up as well. Couple of kids nearby start gagging and then they throw up. And most of them are throwing up in the aisle. And remember, this is going downhill. So as they're puking, this river of vomit is just flowing to the front of the bus. And as the river passes each row, those people begin to throw up. Like a chain reaction. Every seat, somebody's adding to the stream. Like it's a contagious situation. Well, the river of vomit reaches the front. That's when the driver, Miss Jeannie, finally notices. She slams on the brake, stands up, turns around and says, "What is going on back here?" Then she sees it and immediately wishes she hadn't. She radios the school. "Oh my God, it smells. We're gonna need all the towels you have and maybe call a priest." When the bus finally pulls up to the school, the principal and the nurse are waiting. Jeannie opens the door to the bus and the puke starts to pour out of it. That's how much was in there. Eventually, everybody gets off the bus, but the smell follows them into the school. And I kid you not, kids were throwing up in other classrooms just from the scent. And that day went down in history. What a frickin' nightmare. You want a basic charge or fast? Let's do fast. I need it juiced up by next period. This kid figured out that everyone in his school always had super low battery on their phones. Teachers wouldn't let you charge your phone in class, and half of the outlets were blocked off. By third period, everyone's walking around with like 1% battery. So one day, he shows up to school with a massive portable battery bank. He hides it inside his locker, and he builds a business. $3 for a basic cord charge, $7 for the fast cord charge, $10 for full day priority service. Each cord is labeled blue, slow, red, fast. He's got adapters for every type of phone. He's got a chart in a spiral notebook, and business was booming. People are taking him up on this charging service. He's got sticky notes in every device, this phone for lunch only, this phone charging from lunch till end of day. You know, he was very organized. By the end of this week, he's got regulars, he's got VIPs. One girl even prepaid to have her own charging slot for the entire month to use whenever she wanted to. Kid asks if he can get a charge during science. Yeah, all right, basic or fast? Oh, fast. All right, that's $7. I'll be right back. But then one day, 3 kids show up to his locker in between classes, and they're all huddled around it. One teacher saw this and got very suspicious. She opens it up and finds 6 phones plugged into a glowing battery brick, fast charging cords tangled like spaghetti, and a handwritten menu taped to the door of the locker. Shut down, battery confiscated, parents called. That was it. He was definitely upset, but dang, what a business. In those 2 weeks he ran this, he made over $200. All because he had a good idea and a battery brick. Gotta respect the hustle. His friend's house had the weirdest rule ever. This dude said when he was younger, he was spending the weekend at one of his friend's house. They were in the kitchen getting snacks when his friend casually said, "Hey bro, don't eat the last chip." He grabbed the chip bag that his friend was talking about. He opened it and looked inside. There was literally 1 chip left in this bag. 1 chip. Why not? Because the last chip is for the house. What? He laughed. He thought he was joking and he popped that chip in his mouth. He ate it. Okay. A few moments later, the mom walked into the kitchen and saw that the last chip had been eaten from this chip bag. Who finished it? There was only 1 chip left. She just stared at him. That doesn't matter. The last chip is for the house. Always. He figured it was just a weird moment. Him and his friend went about their night. They were playing video games, just chilling. The next morning, this kid goes looking for some cereal in a cabinet, and that's when he saw it. Dozens of snack bags, all of them open, each with exactly 1 chip left. At this point, he was like, what is going on with this family? Bro, what is this? That's the house's cabinet, and those are the house's chips. Did you not listen to my mom yesterday? Bro, what? At that point, this kid was just hungry. He called his mom, and she came to pick him up. What is with these weird families, man? When this dude was a kid, he was spending the night at his friend's house. It was a super hot day, and they had just come back in from playing outside. And these dudes were scoundrels. They were playing with mud and dirt, sand. They were sweaty. So before dinner, this kid wanted to take a shower. So he figured that wouldn't be an issue. He grabs a towel, he walks to the bathroom, and as he's about to close the door, his friend's mom says, "Hey, no showers before dinner." This kid kind of laughs, because obviously she's joking, right? I mean it. He paused. He was like, why? 'Cause it confuses your stomach. Confuses your stomach? What the heck is she talking about? He stood there, still sweaty, covered in dirt, mud, sand, towel in his hand, with his friend's whole family nodding to him like this is some normal situation. So he sat at the table, feeling completely nasty and trying to eat a slab of lasagna that he said was super mid. And when he was finally done, he stood up to go use the shower. "That was great. Thank you. I'm gonna go shower." And that's when his friend's mom said this. "No, wait at least an hour. Your body needs time to transition." "I think my body's fine. I'm just gonna wait at least an hour. Your body needs time to transition." At that moment, he just sat back down. He silently decided that he was never gonna come to this friend's house ever again. This teacher straight up embarrassed herself. Back in 3rd grade, this teacher was doing a lesson on animals. So, can anybody name me a mammal? This one kid, we'll call him Mason, raised his hand excitedly. "Oh, a platypus!" The teacher kind of frowned. "No, sweetie, mammals don't lay eggs, and platypuses lay eggs. It's a bird." "You are wrong." Mason looked confused. "But the platypus is a mammal." "Don't you argue with me, it's unbecoming." "I'm not arguing, Now you're being disrespectful." Mason just sat there quietly. But that night, he did some work of his own. The next day, Mason came into school with printouts, scientific articles, diagrams, highlighted textbook pages. This kid had evidence. He was ready to prove this teacher wrong. So in class, he walked right up to her desk, and in front of the entire class, he said, "Excuse me? Just so you know, the platypus is a mammal. Look, it lays eggs, but it still makes milk, and that's what makes it a mammal." I've been teaching for 15 years. I think, yeah, and you've been wrong for every single one of them. Boom. Class exploded. At this point, the teacher was fuming. "Go to the office now." But when he explained what happened to the principal, even the principal was like, "Yeah, man, you're right. Platypus is a mammal." And he didn't get in trouble at all. After that day, Mason never got another question wrong in that class because she never called on him again. He wrote all of that down in that notebook? Yeah. Holy sh! Everyone at the school knew about Eli. Not because he was loud or popular. It was just the opposite, actually. You see, Eli was just off. He wore the same hoodie every single day, carried one of those tiny spiral notebooks in his back pocket, and he was always scribbling in it during class. Like it'd be mid-lecture, he would just pause, start writing in this thing, and then he would stop, snap it closed, and stare ahead like nothing happened. Now, people assumed it was a sketchbook or he was writing stories or something, but the rumors started flying pretty quick. Some kids thought it was a hit list. Others thought he was writing creepy fan fiction. It got to a point where a teacher actually pulled him aside to ask him about it. Eli just said, "It's nothing bad, I just like to keep track of things." And for a while, that was enough, until someone found one of the notebooks. It fell out of his pocket during gym class. Oh my god. Yo, Steven, is that what I think it is? Yup. And yeah, it wasn't a hit list, but it was weird. He had pages dedicated to different people, not in a creepy way, more like stats. Stuff like, Jamie asks to borrow a pencil 3 times a week. Mr. Grant pretends he doesn't see phones on desks. Cafeteria, chicken sandwich rotation is every 6 days. It was like he was documenting the entire school. Patterns, routines, habits, everything. And the weirdest part, he was right. Everything he wrote down was dead on accurate. He had memorized the school's entire system and everybody in it. After that, people stopped making jokes. Because anytime somebody wanted to know something, like what day pizza was coming back, when Mr. Grant gave pop quizzes, what the fire drill schedule looked like, they didn't ask the office or the teachers. They asked Eli. So yeah, he wasn't a problem. He was a database. I ate half my meatloaf, but she said it wasn't enough. So one day this kid goes through the lunch line. He gets his lunch tray, meatloaf, peas, chocolate milk, all that stuff, which meatloaf for lunch is crazy, but anyway. He eats a little bit of it, obviously it's not that great, so he throws it in the garbage. But a lunch monitor sees this happen and walks over, like she caught him shoplifting. "You're wasting school resources. If you're not gonna eat, don't take food." I wasn't hungry. "Well, next time you're eating alone." She writes him up on the spot, and the next day he has lunch detention. He walks in expecting to be alone, but there's another kid already sitting there. Very similar story. He didn't finish his corn and got written up by the same lunch monitor. Both of them go home that day and tell their parents. And the parents, they do not take this lightly. Calls get made, emails are sent. Apparently, this lunch monitor has been doing this all year, punishing kids for not cleaning their trays, for not eating every last bite. By the end of the week, she is pulled from the lunchroom. Next week, there's another lady taking her spot. New lunch monitor and a totally better vibe. From then on, if you weren't hungry, you could just throw your food out. What a concept. That lady's insane. You're late. And you're a... There was this kid, let's call him Marcus, that was always like 30 seconds late to class. Every day. And his teacher, let's call her Miss Harris, she hated that. I hate that. So one day, Marcus walks in, super chill, backpack half unzipped, no rush at all. And yes, he was around 30 seconds late. Which, in my opinion, 30 seconds late, come on, lady, chill. But anyway, Miss Harris goes, "You're late." Marcus, he didn't flinch. Didn't even sit down. He just stood there and went, "Don't you get tired of being dramatic?" The whole class goes, "Oh." But Marcus wasn't done. Every day with the attitude, like, "Chill, Broadway, you ain't on stage?" Then he hit her with this. "Over here acting like me in the door personally offended you, you goofy looking woman. You're built like a late bell. Always ringing for no reason. Get out of my face." Kids were literally falling out of their chairs. One kid had to leave the room. "You gotta excuse me, I gotta take a walk." And Miss Harris just sat there, frozen. Like her spirit just left her. You would think she would have sent him to the principal's office, but I think she was so embarrassed by Marcus roasting her in the class, all laughing at her expense, she just did nothing. After that, she never said a word to Marcus ever again. Because, yeah, she tried to embarrass him, but he ended her in 10 seconds. That's wild. There was a rumor that a kid at the school wasn't allowed to take tests. What? Quizzes, no exams, no finals, nothing. At first, everyone thought he was faking it, like, okay bro, test anxiety isn't a personality, get over it. But then the truth came out. This kid barely talked to anybody. No backpack, no pencil case, just showed up, sat down, and left. And every time there was a test, he was suddenly gone, like clockwork. People started making jokes like, he's got a medical exemption from Scantrons, or he's so smart they don't need to test him. But then one day a teacher slipped up. She was handing back test scores and looked straight at him and said, "Oh right, you don't take these." And he just nodded like it was completely normal. Turns out his dad was one of the district lawyers. And a few years back, the school messed up his IEP so badly that his family sued. IEP stands for Individualized Education Program. Well, like I said, his family sued, and they won. And part of the settlement, he didn't have to take any standardized tests until graduation. So yeah, the rumor was real. He had a real legal pass to never take a test ever again. Today, we simulate chaos. There was this one day at this one middle school where the principal made a huge deal about this upcoming assembly. It was a full school event, mandatory attendance. And apparently, they'd be reviewing emergency protocols. So everybody thought it was going to be a boring fire drill type situation, or one of those lockdown walkthroughs. But no, it was way, way different. When the students got into the gym, the lights were off. A fog machine was going, and the janitor was standing there in firefighter gear, just waiting. That's when the principal grabbed the mic and said, "Today, we simulate chaos." And suddenly alarms started blaring. Kids were screaming. There were strobe lights going off. What is going on? One kid in a wheelchair started spinning himself in circles, screaming, "Every man for himself! Every man for himself!" Another kid was climbing the bleachers, people were running outside the school, and somebody's shoes ended up in the rafters, which to this day they have no idea how that even happened. Well, it turns out the entire thing was the principal's idea. He said the best way to prepare for an emergency was to be surprised by one, and he put this whole thing together. Apparently, he was really excited about it. It was so crazy and nobody knew what was happening that one teacher passed out, students were huddled together praying, and by the end of it, the janitor just stood on the stage saluting the students like they had just survived a real disaster. Nice! Good work, team! The next week, the school board banned all unauthorized drills. So yeah, they were supposed to learn what to do in an emergency. Instead, they learned what happens when a principal goes completely off script. It's kinda legendary though, I'm not gonna lie. You didn't even look at the slides? Nope. Bro, we're gonna fail! So there was this one group project in 8th grade that counted for 25% of the final grade. Like it was a serious end-of-the-year multi-slide, multi-day situation here. And this one group had 3 kids that really cared. And then there was Jeff. Jeff did nothing. Didn't come to the prep meetings, didn't contribute to the slides, didn't even open the Google Doc. All he said was, "Just tell me what I need to say." And they tried. They gave him a script. He didn't look at it. He didn't practice. Didn't even show up to the final rehearsal that they were doing. Fast forward to presentation day. Everyone's in their best outfits. Posters were ready. The slides were cued. And 30 seconds before their group is called, Jeff walks into class like he had just woken up. "Hey, what's up, guys?" The group is panicking. One kid tells him, "Are you kidding me right now, dude? You know what? Just stand there, okay? Don't say anything. Don't mess this up for us." They get up front. Everyone is nervous. And then out of nowhere, Jeff starts talking. No slides, no notes, just straight off the dome. Our project explores the intersection of environmental policy and youth activism, and we believe change happens locally. The teacher's face lit up. The group, they were stunned. And by the time Jeff was done, people were clapping. They clapped. They got an A+, perfect score. And as soon as they sit back down, Jeff leans over and says, "I told you I'd come through." After that, nobody trusted Jeff, but everybody remembered that presentation. And even the teacher brought it up the next year. But it's crazy because with 0 prep, 0 effort, and 0 teamwork, Jeff gave the best speech in the class. And nobody could explain it. So this one teacher, Mr. Thompson, was way too chill. He never gave homework, he never graded anything, he didn't even pretend to be strict. One time a kid asked him a question and he literally pulled up Google and was like, "You know man, I don't know, let's figure this out together." Bro is one of us. But one day, someone asked him how long he had been teaching. "Oh, I just kind of got into this." You know, and people laughed. But it was like, wait, what? Then a week later, Mr. Thompson gone. No email, no goodbye. Just a new teacher walks in and goes, "Hey guys, I'll be finishing off the year. Mr. Thompson had to leave for personal reasons." But one of the office aides, who was a student, overheard a call between the principal and the school district. Apparently, Mr. Thompson was never a teacher. He was a long-term sub who never got certified. He wasn't supposed to be teaching alone. So when the district found out, they pulled him immediately. And here's the worst part. His replacement was absolutely horrible. Strict, boring, cold. The kind of teacher who acted like they hated kids. And even though Mr. Thompson wasn't technically a real teacher, he made way more of a real impact than half the ones who are. Man, that sucks. The performance is over, you may all go home. I'm a star! So every year, this school put on a big spring play. Tickets, costumes, a full audience. It was a big deal. And this one year, they were doing Robin Hood. Now, most of the cast was taking this very seriously. But there was this one kid. Let's call him Noah. He played one of the guards. He barely had any lines. And that was the problem. Because Noah wanted more stage time, and nobody gave it to him. So, on opening night, he decided to take it. Everything's going fine. The actors are on point. The audience is locked in. Robin Hood's doing his big dramatic speech. "I do not steal for greed, I steal for justice. While the kings eat in their golden halls, the people will scrape crumbs off the floor." So yeah, that kid was killing it. He was feeling himself. But then Noah walks forward, points to Robin Hood, and says with a completely straight face, "He's got a crossbow in his pants. That's why he's walking like that." The actors freeze. The kid who played Robin Hood looks like he's about to cry. But Noah's not done. No. He starts pacing across the stage like a detective, muttering to himself, "The moss is fake. The footprints don't match the alibi. This was never about taxes." Everybody's flabbergasted. He's inventing a crime subplot in the middle of a play. And then the finale. Knocks over a set piece, points up to the sky and says, "It was the butler!" And he starts running around the stage. The lights cut. The cast members are crying. The principal gets onto the mic and says, "The performance is over, you may all go home now. I'm a star." And that was it. The show got canceled mid-performance. No second night, no cast party. It was done. And Noah, well, he showed up to school the next day like nothing happened. But people said you can tell. He was very, very proud of what he did. "Yo, is anybody home? Oh look, cookies." So when this kid was in school, his parents worked late. So after school, he had to walk home an hour and a half every time his parents worked late. He hated riding the bus, so he said he'd rather walk. So because of this, he would always try to hang out at a friend's house who lived nearby and just get picked up from there later in the night when his parents were off. Well, one day he's walking by that friend's house and he decides to give him a call. No answer, but he remembers where they keep the spare key. For some reason, he can't explain why. He grabs the key and he lets himself in. Starts walking around the house, calling out for his friend. "Yo, you home? Hello?" Silence. Nobody's there. So he goes to the fridge, makes himself a sandwich, sits down on the couch, and starts watching TV. About 15 minutes in, he realizes, "Oh my god, I just broke into my friend's house. What am I doing?" And it's not just anybody's house. His friend is Russian, and his dad is a scary Russian man who had tons of firearms. He panics, he puts the key back, and he runs out of the house. He gets home safely. His friend calls him back later that day, and he didn't suspect a thing. And he has kept that secret every single day since then. That's crazy. It started as a punishment. This one school made a new rule called silent lunch. No talking, no whispering, no noise. Principal said it was to help students reset their behavior. But it didn't reset anything. It just made kids miserable. Lunch felt like a detention. Everybody just sat there, chewing, in complete silence. Plastic spoons hitting trays, a single juice box slurp from down the way. For this one kid, he had an idea. The next day, he walked in quietly. He opened his lunchbox, and he pressed a button on this little speaker. It was bird sounds. Like the kind you hear in nature. It wasn't music, it was like a calm forest vibe. The teachers looked over, but they didn't say anything. Technically wasn't talking, and it technically wasn't breaking the rules. So he did it again and again. By the end of the week, 3 other kids were bringing in their speakers as well. One kid played rainforest noises, another kid played waterfall sounds. This one dude was playing a recording of whale noises. And the wild part, it worked. The lunchroom got calmer, but not in a weird way. It felt peaceful. Students were sitting in silence, eating to ambient waterfall loops and jungle bird noises. The teachers were like, honestly, this is not bad. People were loving this. The next week, the principal walked in and froze. The lights were dim. Some kid brought a lava lamp. And this lunchroom, this silent lunchroom, had turned into a full-blown spa. He just stood there blinking, smiled to himself, turned around and left. He thought, maybe I actually did something here. This is nice. And no one said a word. You know, that's actually amazing. Let's be honest, none of you are going anywhere in life. What? Yo, that's messed up. So on this day, this teacher was already at her limit. Kids were talking in class, someone was playing Subway Surfers at full volume, and she snaps. She turns to the class and she says this. You know what, guys? It's clear that you do not want to learn, and let's be real. None of you are going anywhere in life anyway. The whole room freezes. People were shocked. Did she really just say that? Well, one kid stood up, and without hesitation, he says this. Clearly, you didn't go anywhere in life either. At this point, the class is losing it. She hits him with this. Sir, excuse me, you have no room to speak. You are literally failing my class. And that's when he ends her with this. Yeah, and you've been teaching this class for 19 years. You eat yogurt for lunch, still drive a 2006 Toyota Corolla, and you cry in the parking lot before second period. So I'm sorry, who's really failing here? A kid flips a chair. Oh my God. The bell rang. These students are going absolutely insane. She stands there frozen. She has no idea what the heck to do. And then as he's about to leave the classroom, he looks at her and says this. Hey, from now on, shut your mouth and let me fail in peace. See you tomorrow. And he left the room. That's absolutely crazy. Yo, Jacob got lunch detention. Lucky. They called it lunch detention. It sounded terrifying. No talking, no food, no freedom, just an empty room and shame. But then this one kid gets sent there, and he comes back looking way too happy. Everyone's like, yo, are you good? Bro, that was actually fire. Turns out, lunch detention wasn't even detention. There were snacks, there was music, there was a frickin' couch. So the teacher that was running it was super chill. People would be playing Uno in the corner. Nobody wanted to leave. So here's what happened. A while back, the principal asked this one teacher to run lunch detention. He did. Nobody ever questioned it, and the principal never checked in. He never stopped by. And like I said, that teacher, super chill. He just made it his own thing, this chill spot for students to hang out during lunch. So while the rest of the school thought it was punishment, kids were in there vibing, like it was some exclusive lunch lounge. And it lasted months before people started getting suspicious. They shut it down eventually, but to this day, it's still kind of a legend. They called it lunch detention, but it was basically club detention, right? Yo, dude, Jeff got office detention. What? He is so cooked. There was this one school where regular detention happened in room 117. Boring. You sit, you do your homework, you write an essay, standard stuff. But there was another kind of detention that nobody ever wanted to go to. They called it office detention. Only certain kids ever got it. No warning, no explanation. Just a slip handed to them that said, report to the principal's office, 3 o'clock. God, no! Once they walked in, the door shut behind them. There were no windows in this office, which made it 10 times worse. No phones allowed. You weren't allowed to do your homework. You weren't allowed to do anything. What you did have to do in office detention was this. Just sit there, across from the principal, in total silence, staring at each other. Have a seat. Okay, on that. This is office detention. Shh. Look at me. Once they were settled, no one would say a word. Nobody would move. It would just be complete silence for an entire hour. And if you broke the silence, the hour would start over. Nobody knew what the point was. There was no lesson, there was no scolding. Just slow, silent, psychological punishment, which in my opinion is horribly messed up. But I guess the weirdest part is it worked. The kids that went there never got it again. That's just insane. Wait, is he breathing? No, he's fine. He's built for this. This kid walks into class one day, and he realizes there's a quiz. Well, he didn't study at all. So instead of taking a 0, he decides to take a gamble. You see, there was this massive beanbag chair in the back of the classroom. Like one of those giant overstuffed ones that sinks when you sit in it, almost like it's quicksand. Well, this kid, he was small. Like strategically small, you know? The kind of kid who can blend in anywhere if he wanted to. So he gets into class a little bit early. He looks at the beanbag and then he looks at the clock. Oh, okay. And he just goes for it. He walks to the back of the room, lowers himself in the beanbag, and just disappears. and it completely swallows him. Gone. No limbs, no face, just beanbag. From the teacher's desk, it looks empty back there. Just looked like a normal beanbag. She hands out the quiz, starts the timer, and doesn't say a word. She assumes this kid's absent. Meanwhile, he's just inside this beanbag, curled up in silence, just riding it out. And just as the bell rings and everybody else is grabbing their stuff, getting ready to leave the classroom, he rises from this beanbag like a ghost and just walks out. And to this day, that teacher still thinks he was absent on that quiz day. That's absolutely crazy. So this girl, Amy, she's 15, straight up running a business at her school. Like it's a full-on operation. She buys the snacks and drinks in bulk. She breaks them up and sells them individually at a markup. Classic black market school economy. She's been doing this for 2 years now, and she's not out here just hoarding the cash that she makes. She's buying stuff. She's using her profits to buy clothes, shoes, whatever she wants. She doesn't ask her parents for money, she earns it. And her mom, well, her mom is like, I mean, yeah, why would I stop her? You know, she's not selling anything illegal, her grades are fine, and I haven't had to buy her anything in months. I'm really proud of her. But the school? Oh no. They catch her and a few other snack dealers and boom, week of detentions. And they warn her, one more time and you're suspended. Please, okay. Now the dad's losing his mind. No, honey, this is serious, okay? She's risking her education. She needs to be grounded. And the mom's like, grounded for what? Capitalism? Like, for real, what are we doing here, you guys, you know? She's not disrupting class, she's not failing. In fact, she's doing better than she has before. She's not pushing anything shady. She's just really good at business. The mom says this, the school's obviously making something out of nothing. It's not like she's slinging crank behind the vending machines. And honestly, I get it. I understand, like, rules are rules, but let's be real here. Half these schools don't teach the kids anything useful anyways. Good for her, for respecting her own hustle. And if that was my school, I'd be asking for her supply chain. Big ups to Amy. What is this? Oh, you weren't supposed to see that. So this one teacher, she always had a little black notebook on her desk. Said it was for classroom notes. Everybody assumed it meant grades or it was like a behavior log. No one thought twice, but it wasn't that. It was a burn book. Straight up page after page, trashing her students, all by name. One kid was labeled future con artist. One was fifth period manipulator, crybaby. One entry said, can't read social cues. Parents are either clueless or stupid. Like real crazy stuff. And nobody knew until parent-teacher conferences. One mom is sitting down at this teacher's desk for the meeting. The teacher had been flipping through some papers before and left the tiny little notebook open without even realizing it. She gets up and she says, 1 second, I think I left your son's quiz folder in the copy room. I'll be right back. She leaves. The mom's sitting there, waiting. She glances at the teacher's desk, and she sees her kid's name at the top of a page of a tiny notebook. Manipulative, fake with adults, should be bullied, total snake? What is this? She flips a page. Another student. Then another. Just tons of students being roasted in this little notebook by the teacher. She goes to the hallway and flags the parents in who are waiting for their time slot for the conference. By the time the teacher walks back in, all these parents are huddled around her desk reading this little black notebook. She was caught red frickin' handed. All the teacher could say was this: conferences are over. She grabs a little notebook, puts it in her purse, and she leaves the room. And suddenly that teacher is on leave. And she's the stupid one, because the moment you write stuff down like that, you better be prepared for somebody to read it. And they did. That's nuts. This story's hilarious. When this girl was little, for some reason, she thought sneezing was hilarious. The scene in Beauty and the Beast where Belle's dad sneezes in his workshop and dust flies everywhere, she loved it. She would rewind it and watch it over and over again. Well, one day, when she was in kindergarten, she somehow found out that a student who was in first grade was very allergic to pollen. So she had an idea. Every day at recess, she would go outside, pick a handful of dandelions, and chase her around the playground. Come here. Oh, no. And when she would get close enough, she would shove the dandelions in this girl's face. Well, it got to a point where one day at recess, she was chasing her around with dandelions as usual. But this time, the reaction was more than a sneeze. She was sent to the hospital. And from that day on, whenever she wanted to watch someone sneeze, she would just go on YouTube. This guy said that when he was around 7 years old, he would always wander off in stores. Target, Walmart, the mall, he'd see something he liked and he would just vanish. Well, one day, his dad was kind of sick of this, so he pulled him aside and said, Hey son, you know what happens to kids who get lost in stores, right? What? Sometimes if their parents don't find them fast enough, the store keeps them. When this kid heard that, he was definitely starting to freak out a little bit. What do you mean keeps them, Dad? If you're caught in a store looking lost, they'll snatch you up and bring you to the back room, where they'll make you fold clothes and pack boxes. See how the store's always stocked? Those are the lost kids that did that. Are you serious? After that, he never left his dad's side ever again. Not once. He didn't even go to the bathroom by himself until he was in middle school. He's much older now. He knows it was a lie. But even today, as he walks through stores, he still feels that pit of anxiety deep down in his stomach. But hey, at least he never got lost. This kid got life advice from a guy eating string cheese. This kid was 14. He was having a rough week. He was failing a class, his friends were acting super weird. He had just gotten into a fight with his mom who said, "You know what, why don't you take a walk and don't come back till you figure yourself out." Oof, tough break. So he left. He went to a park and sat on a bench. Just sitting there, staring at a duck that looked as lost as he felt.
Quack, quack, quack.
Then this guy walks by, mid-30s, fishing hat on and a pole in hand, and he was eating string cheese. But he was eating it like a menace, not peeling it, just munching right into it. The guy slows down and goes, "Hey, you good?" This kid doesn't answer, he just shrugs. The guy nods like he gets it, and he says, "Cool. Just remember this, most stuff doesn't make sense when you're in it, but it will later. So don't quit until it starts to make sense, alright?" This guy takes one last bite of his string cheese, throws the wrapper in the trash, and adds one last thing. Also, learn to cook one thing really well. That's important. That kid never saw that guy ever again. But he went home, and he made scrambled eggs. And honestly, they weren't that bad. Respect to that guy. So one of my subscribers sent the story in, and it's genius how simple it is. This kid started a snack business at his school. He posted the menu in his class group chat. People would place orders in advance, and he had a drop spot and everything. First day, chaos. Everyone showed up, they cleared him out, business was booming. But here's the thing, at his school, snacks weren't allowed, like at all. So when students started eating in their classes, the teachers kind of snapped. Where's all this food coming from? And well, one kid panicked and said, "So there's this guy." Bingo snitched, the whole thing traced back to him. Kids who were eating snacks in class were getting detentions, and he was shut down completely. Before it got shut down, he made $30 profit on day one. $30 profit on the first day. That's insane. And he tells me he's not done. He said he's gonna take the risk and relaunch. And see, this is the type of mindset that we need. Because the reality of it, schools teach us to be good workers, to stay quietly at a job for the rest of our lives, and do what the man says. But we don't gotta do that. This kid has entrepreneurship. He's got hustle, baby. He's a subscriber with a vision, and you know what I always say, you gotta respect the hustle. Is that a car on the football field? Yo, that's Miss Shelton. So Miss Shelton had been teaching at this school for forever. AP Chem, strict, she was sharp, she wore heels on lab days, and she'd never smiled. But within these last few weeks, she'd been slipping. Her hair's messy, she's forgetting the schedule. She told one kid, "I am this close to quitting, I swear to God." Well, finals week hits. She hands out the tests, and then she just leaves the room. Someone says, "Do we follow her?" "Yo, guys, she's outside." And then everybody goes to the window, and she's standing in the parking lot, staring at her car, motionless. Half the class is watching, half the class is sitting back down, starting the test, when all of a sudden you hear, boom! Tires screeching. The kids run back to the window. Miss Shelton drives across the curve and onto the football field. And she just starts spinning. She's doing donuts in the middle of the football field. Grass and dirt are flying everywhere. Kids are filming. Teachers and gym staff are running outside to the field to see what's going on. They're screaming, "My field! What are you doing?" And they're just watching her do this. And all of a sudden, she just drives off the football field and parks in front of the front office. She walks in and hands in her name tag and her keys. "Here's my keys, and thanks for everything. I'm done. I'm done." And she leaves. Nobody ever saw her again. Apparently, there were tire marks on that football field for weeks after this incident. This dude had a super weird experience at a friend's house. This kid said he used to hang out at a friend's place after school. Nice house, quiet neighborhood, totally normal. Every time he walked in that house, the mom would always say the exact same thing. Shoes off, kids, and don't touch the walls. Now at first, this kid thought that this lady was just a clean freak. Until one day, when he leaned on a wall, barely. She came around the corner instantly, like she'd been watching. She didn't yell, she didn't get mad, she just handed him a paper towel and pointed at the spot. Wipe it until it's gone, please. The weird part? There was nothing on the wall. No smudge, no print, no mark, but he just wiped it anyway. What is going on? Later that night, he asked his friend what that was all about. Yo, what was that all about? His friend just said, she thinks that walls remember everything. Like if you touch a wall or lean on it, you leave a piece of yourself behind. Your mom's nuts. Whatever, he went home and he just tried to forget about that weird moment, but a week later, he heard that his friend's house had been repainted, the entire interior. When he asked his friend what the reason was, his friend replied, my mom said too many people touched the walls, so she repainted it to give the house a fresh start. Bro, what? That mom might need a little help, okay? So a subscriber sent in this story. This one comes from an 8th grader in Missouri who had a teacher. We'll call this teacher Mrs. K. Now, at the end of the school day, most teachers were fine with students having their phones out. Cause, it's the end of the day. It's chill time. But not Mrs. K. Mrs. K had this insane rule. If she caught you with your phone out, she would call your parents. She would then lie about why you had to stay after school, and then she would lock you in a closet. That's real. So one day, it's the end of the day, and this 8th grader gets a text from their mom. They check it really quick and boom, Mrs. K sees it. Phone now. She snatches this kid's phone and in front of the entire class, she calls this kid's parents. Hi, this is your kid's teacher. I'm calling to inform you that your child is failing my class. I highly suggest your kid stays after school today with me while I help them study for the upcoming test. Well, I'll have your kid call you when we're done. Bye-bye. So school ends and this kid heads to Mrs. K's classroom, hoping for the best, hoping Mrs. K is not going to be too hard on them. But that's not what happened. Mrs. K just said, since you were on your phone, you're getting in the closet. She locks this kid in the closet, and the kid's just sitting there scared, crying all by themselves. But here is where the whole thing turns around. When that kid got home, they told their parents what had happened. They called the school immediately. The next day, they went into the school to speak with the principal. And shortly after that, Mrs. K was fired. And honestly, she definitely deserved it. This kid got blamed for something he didn't do. This one day at this one high school, during their free period, a kid was eating lunch outside by the football field, while a couple of students were kicking and throwing around a football. This kid, let's call him Steven, was sitting nearby. He wasn't playing, he was just eating his lunch. Suddenly, go long! Crash. One of the football players accidentally threw the football at the school window and it shattered. A teacher comes sprinting out of the building. Hey yo, who threw that? Everyone's frozen. Then one kid pointed to Steven. It was him. He kicked it. What? I wasn't even playing. But the teacher was already on the walkie-talkie. We got a broken window. Student responsible has been identified. Come with me. Steven is dragged to the office. They pull up security footage, but the camera angle cuts off right before the area where Steven was eating and they were playing, so it was useless. So, they just take the other kid's word for it. Steven gets 2 days of in-school suspension, and he has to pay $147 to fix the window. And the worst part? 2 weeks later, the kid that blamed him brags about it in the locker room. Yeah, I just didn't want to get in trouble and Steven was sitting there anyway. It was perfect. One kid heard it, went to the office to tell the principal. You'd think they would apologize, right? Nope. They just said, yeah, well, the case has already been handled. It's done, so nothing to do about it now. But thanks for letting me know, man. And that's the dumbest reason I've seen anybody get into trouble ever. Justice for Steven, man. That ain't right. This school said it was doing something new for safety. Just adding tiny audio monitors right outside the bathroom. It's not a camera, it would just record sound. The principal said it was to prevent fighting, loitering, and other nefarious activities. Weird, but technically legal, so most people just ignored it. But a few weeks in, something strange happened. Kids kept joking how they could overhear like a feedback noise in the vents, like a weird clicking or popping noise when you pulled your phone out. Well, one janitor overheard this and he did not like it. So one night after hours, he checked the ceiling above the boys' bathroom, and that's when he found it. A live microphone inside the bathroom. He didn't say anything right away. Instead, he pulled it down, took pictures of it, and called the parent that he trusted. The parent didn't call the principal. She called a lawyer. And then the news. By the end of the week, it was everywhere. Turns out the principal had installed 6 audio devices in bathrooms across the school. No signs, no disclosure, no permission. By Thursday morning, a school district representative entered the school, walked into the principal's office, and 15 minutes later, the principal left the school holding a box. He was fired. And the janitor, he got like 30 gift cards for thankful students and parents. That janitor definitely did the right thing. Okay, this is hilarious. My follower sent me this story. She said that one day she was at her boyfriend's house when she had to go poop very bad. I have to go to the bathroom. Well, the bathroom is right next to her boyfriend's bedroom, so she figured she'd have to be quiet, otherwise he would know she was pooping. So she goes in there and sits down. What is that? She sees that the bathtub is full of water. So she asks her boyfriend, hey, so the bathtub's full of water. Is someone taking a bath or something? Or am I still good to go in there? He responds, yeah, my sister's really pregnant and she's gonna give birth at home, and that bathtub is for the water birth. Oh, okay. Obviously that's kind of weird, but she goes to the bathroom anyway and she starts pooping. And mid-push, the door bursts open. Oh, it's coming! The baby's coming! Talk about embarrassing. Here are some disgusting school lunches. Okay, the rice looks fine, the carrots look fine, but what is this disgrace of chicken nuggets? Like, come on. This kid got 1 slice of turkey covered in gravy and sliced carrots for lunch. And yes, that was all that the school was serving that day. This next one's absolutely horrible. It was a high school in New Jersey, and they were serving beef and cheese sandwiches for lunch. And this is said beef and cheese sandwich. This next one is from a school that was serving chicken patty sandwiches one day. This kid took a bite of his sandwich, and this is what he saw inside. That is the nastiest chicken sandwich I've ever seen in my entire life. What the hell is that? Alright, this next one is mac and cheese served with garlic bread. And last but not least, this person got an apple with their school lunch one day. They realized something was weird about it, so they cut it in half. And this is what the apple looked like inside. Absolutely disgraceful. The worst Halloween costume ever, so this kid really wanted to be Pennywise for Halloween. He was very, very excited, so his mom ordered him a Pennywise costume. The costume came in and he tried it on. And this is what the costume looked like. This dude is crazy for this. So the guy that shared this story said that one day in middle school, he got to school early and he noticed that there was a school bus in the school bus lot that was running and there was nobody in it. So he decided to get in the bus and he drove away. He took the school bus on a joyride around the town. He had been driving for about 20 minutes before he realized, oh, I better get back to school. His class is starting soon. So he drove the bus to a wooded area near the school. He drove it inside and left it there. He then walked to a gas station near this wooded area and used a payphone to call the police. Hi, yeah, is this the police? Good, there's a school bus running in this wooded area by the Shell gas station. Somebody better come get it. He then walked to school, went to class. The police found the bus and took it back to the bus lot. He was never caught, and the school bus wasn't damaged at all. Nobody ever knew what he did. Until now. He said he kept that secret for years. But now that he's older, he said it was too good of a story not to share. Yeah, that's kind of legendary.
বন্ধু তুই যদি রক্ত দেস ভালো লাগে না রে দোস্ত
না দুলা ভাই আমি তো কোচিং এ যাই না আমার তো বাসায় গেস্ট আসছে আর আমার আম্মু তো একা এজন্য আমি যাই না
আমার পড়াশোনা সবকিছু বন্ধ করে দিবে তখন আমি কি করব
আরে ছাইরা দে ভালোবাসা যে এত প্যারা এত কষ্ট এত জ্বালা যন্ত্রণা জানলে ভালোই বাসতাম জিসান আর তুলির ভালোবাসার ইতিহাস তাই রক্ত লাগবে দোস্ত
আসসালামু আলাইকুম দুলা ভাই
আরে শালা ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম কি খবর কেমন আছো
বান্ধবীও তো যায় না এতবার ফোন দিলাম ফোনও ধরতেছে না তুমি একটা ফোন দাও তো ফোন বের করো
কি বলেন দুলা ভাই ও যায় নাই কথা হইছে ভাইয়া বলছে যে ভাইয়া আমাদের কোচিং এর সামনে আর আসবে না আর তোকে ডিস্টার্বও করবে না
জানো না
কারণ না
আমি একটা তিন গুনমু
না বাবা প্রেম হইলেই হবে প্রেম হইলে এমনি ডিফারেন্স হবে বাবা আমার খালি ওরে দরকার
রক্ত কেন ইতিহাস লিখবো ভালোবাসার ইতিহাস
ভালো আছি আপনি ভালো আছেন
আমি তো ভালো আছি তো তোমার বোন কোথায়
আচ্ছা একটা মিনিট আমি কল দিচ্ছি।
এক রাতেই ভালো হয়ে গেল, এটাও আমার বিশ্বাস করতে হবে? দোস্ত আমার না ভয় লাগছে।
আসতে বলুন না, সেটা আমার একটু জরুরি কথা আছে।
বাবা
ভাই আমি তো এলাকা ছাড়ার আগে
তুমি একটা গিরাট টুকরা ছেলে, যেই ছেলে
তানিয়া আমার পিস্তলটা নিয়ে আয় তো।
টাকা কি দুধটা রাইখে গেলাম।
মাত্র সে ফেসবুকে স্ট্যাটাস দিয়েছে সে একটি অনাথ বাচ্চাকে
কত স্যাক্রিফাইস করছি, এলাকার বড় ভাই থেকে রিক্সা চালক হয়ে গেলাম, আর সেটাই করবো। যে গরম না, আর এই বড় ভাই তোর মায়ের চিকিৎসার দায়িত্ব নিছে। সেলিম ভাই ভালোবাসার লেগে জেল খাটছিল।
ভাই আপনি যত কথাই, এই বাড়িতে ওই বদমাইশটার কথা একবারও ভুলে উচ্চারণ করবা না।
ভাই মিনিমাম আপনি 17 লাইনের একটা কবিতা লেখেন। 17 লাইনের কবিতাটা
কিন্তু ছাপাই না, সব মাথার ভিতরে থাকে। যখন পড়তে ইচ্ছা করে মাথা, আমি জানো ওরে বাপ করে দেব। আর আমি কি কমো জানো, তবু তানিয়া ভালো কেমনে বেটা কস না কেন বেটা।
এটা পড়ে আপনার প্রেমে পুরো উত্তরে পড়ে যাবো।
আর তো
আপনি পারবেন ভাই, আপনি পারবেন।
ও 700 লাইন লিখবো, আর বাদ বাকি 300 লাইন আমি লেখা বললাম।
একটু নামিয়ে দাও। মানে ও ছাড়া পাক না পাক তাতে আমাদের কি?
ভিতরটা শিমুল তুলার মতো নরম হয়ে ছিল, যাওয়ার সাথে সাথে একটা
তুমি এতদিন যা করেছো তাতে আমার একটুও মন গলেনি, আর তোমাকে ভালোবাসার কোনো কারণ।
ও আপনি সে বড় ভাই? আপনার নাম তো আমি বহুত শুনছি, কিন্তু আমার
বুঝছস।
ভাই আমি এটাই বুঝলাম না, আপনি এই মাইয়া তানিয়ার মধ্যে কি পাইছেন? এলাকার সব মাইয়া আপনার।
মানুষ মাত্রই ভুল করে, তাতে কি?
ভাই এমন যে করব,
দাঁড়ান, মাথার ভিতরে অলরেডি একদম। তানিয়ার বাপরে আমি চ্যালেঞ্জ করছি, 7 দিনের মধ্যে তানিয়া আমারে আমি প্রেমে ভালাবো কেমনে বেটা কস না কেন বেটা।
ভাই কি কমু গন, মানে হ্যাঁ বাড়িতে কেমনে ভাই করবে এটা তো জানি না। এর মধ্যে আপনি কবিতা দিয়ে দিচ্ছেন। আমি তো
কোন হারামজাদা আমার মায়েরা ডিস্টার্ব করে?
হ্যালো, আপনি শুধু শুধু রাগ করছেন।
আমি হইতেছি রিক্সা, তুমি হইতেছে এসি বাস।
মামা পাড়া দিত।
আপনার ছেলের সাথে আমি আমার মেয়েকে বিয়ে দিব। ঠিক আছে ভাই।
ফুটে যাব না, মানে এত হ্যান্ডসাম ফ্রেন্ডলি সুন্দর।
আর জিত চিরদিন থাকবে। একটা এতিম ছেলের জন্য আজকে আমি
আমার মতো একটা মানুষকে ভালোবাসা যায়।
সত্যি বলতেছো তানিয়া?
সেলিম,
আবার আসবো স্যার। আগে আপনার বাসায় আসতে গেলে পা কাঁপতো, এখন আর পা কাঁপ না।